Welcome to the Adult Basic Skills Professional Development video series. Throughout our productions, we are committed to excellence in adult education and professional development in basic skills instruction. The goal of this video series is to improve the effectiveness and quality of instruction through focused professional development.
You might be interested in this, Kathy. That's where South Africa is and all business with apartheid and all of that.
Oh, okay.
That we've heard in the news, Nelson Mandela and all of those. That's South Africa. So those are different things that you...
The other class I was in, it was like one-on-one, and I really didn't get a lot out of it. And when I came to this class, I was nervous at first, but I came out of my shell, right? And I learned a lot. I done come a long way from when I went one-on-one. Then doing the group. And my old teacher, she came over here, right, and she looked at some of my work and stuff, and she was like, you really come a long way. Because we do it in group here. And I like it.
Cooperative learning is an activity where we engage two or more students in an interdependent process for learning new material or learning a new skill. Cooperative learning helps adults find ways to share goals, procedures for getting to those goals, where they work together as a group. It is not an activity where one student just helps another student. Over 100 pieces of research suggest that cooperative learning enhances learning. Some even say that it's a vital part of any learning, is that it's done in social context, done in a context where that's similar to how people will actually use the process. It's really interesting when we look at what the workplace needs and what they're telling us through the Department of Labor. They want people who can work together. They want people who can, in a group, solve a problem and share new ideas with each other and help each other learn new tasks. And so when we think about how do we prepare adults to do those kinds of activities, cooperative learning is a natural process for helping people design a project for what they want to learn, and then work collaboratively on how they're going to go about carrying out the learning task and who's going to do what and who's going to be responsible for what part of it, and then coming up with a satisfying product that all of them can really appreciate.
The student benefits so much more by cooperative learning. It's a group effort. They learn to depend on each other. They learn each other. And they become a group. They become family, almost. I've seen that happen with my family literacy class. Their self-esteem goes up. They really, you can just tell a difference in them. They start feeling good about themselves. They have confidence. They start speaking up in the classroom for questions. And they're not afraid to try new things.
I like cooperative learning because it gives the students a chance to get in on the planning, to get in on the whole business. It's their class, they're adults, and I think they feel a lot better about being treated like adults in that way. And it also, they just learn better.
I would suggest that cooperative learning be used as a part of a program for adults. Just like any method, if we use that totally, it would become boring. And I would think that cooperative learning would be maybe a fourth or a half of the time could possibly be devoted to cooperative learning activities, but certainly not use cooperative learning as a total method of teaching everything.
Planning for cooperative learning has to be very flexible. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and you have to be able to go with the flow of the class. Starting out, and I've started a new group, this group that Barb has, I have in the afternoon, and I'm learning with them how to do group activities. I'm not sure who all goes together, who all works well together or doesn't. So it's trial and error. But you eventually work into it and you're comfortable with it, and the students make me comfortable with it.
I've had a few, but very few, who really are loners kind of thing, and it's very hard for them. But for the most part, I have seen several of them come out of their shell a little bit when you put them into this kind of situation. I had a lady at one industry who she eats her lunch every day out in her car. She doesn't even eat lunch with everybody. And it was really tough on her. But again, I would use that table approach. Let's this table do this problem kind of thing. And she did come out of it quite a bit.
Well, first off, don't be afraid to try it, the group work. And it doesn't have to be projects. You can start out very small. Just researching a title, going to the library as a group of 2 and looking up materials. And once you try it, your mind just starts exploding with ideas of how you can work as a group in your classroom. And the students really do benefit.
I was really shy. I didn't really talk to nobody and stuff. And working in groups, it really changed me because I was more relaxed and they were like down to earth like me.
I learn more in groups than I do if I just had that book at home learning by myself. I would. I'm glad she thought of that group, man. I am. I like this.
There's no greater fulfillment than working with them in cooperative education because they are doing it. They will get so much out of it that you will get a lot more out of it.
Today we will see 2 ways that instructors can use cooperative learning activities in their classes. Cooperative learning can be a simple short-term task or a much more involved project which may take weeks to complete. As an example of a short-term cooperative learning activity, let's observe Barbara's class working in small groups to tackle the task of reading a news article, determining the main idea, and writing a headline to reflect the main idea. Here's what it looks like.
All right, for this first thing, let's just work in 3s, and I'm going to let you 3, and you 3, and you 3, and then I'm going to let you 2 turn around and make a foursome. We've done this before. The famous article without a headline. Okay? What I want you to do, remember, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there you go. What does anybody know? What am I looking for when I write a headline for something?
Main idea.
Main idea. Thank you, Stella. Come up with 1 per group, or if you come up with more, that's okay too. But go ahead and read through that if you will, and then 1 per group. But if you can come up with more than 1 per group, that's okay too. So take a couple of minutes and just read it. All right, if you're having difficulty with this, think of it this way. What if I hadn't read this and I said, what's this article about? That's probably what you want for your headline. Okay? That'll help you a little bit. Yeah, see, you're going the right direction. You're going the right direction. That's what this is about, isn't it? Well, you got 1.
I'm waiting on them to come up with something.
Oh, you're going to claim sole responsibility. Does everybody have something?
Did you say 1 per group?
Yeah.
Got her wobble legs, right?
Yeah, have you got something? Okay. Now, Kathy. Let's start with these guys. Nancy, something that your group picked.
What sports could do to kids?
Okay. Now you have to remember, and these are good examples of it, when you're writing a headline, you're going to be pretty brief.
Sports, overtraining, bars, low, and injuries.
Okay, Stella, have you got another one from your group?
Mine was sports, the highway, the children's injuries, the child injuries.
Yeah. The highway to children's injuries? Okay. I think everything up here does what it was supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? They all talk about the main idea of this article, which was the idea that kids are training too much and therefore becoming injured, sometimes for life. Some are more creative than others. You want to see what the real one was? Yeah. I like yours much better. Kids' injuries increase.
Wow, I wouldn't want to read that.
These pull you in a lot more. You see what I'm saying? They kind of grab you. Several of them really are quite creative. I think you did all right on that.
Next, let's look at a more involved cooperative learning activity. As part of a unit on world geography, Barbara asked each student to choose 2 continents they wanted to learn more about. Students were then placed in small groups based on their choice. In addition, Barbara tried to balance each group based on student achievement, motivation, and ability to work together. First, each small group brainstormed to come up with 2 or 3 topics to guide their study of their continent. Next, small groups shared their preliminary topics with the whole class to broaden the menu of topics to explore. Finally, after establishing topics to research for their continent, each small group determined which members would be responsible for which topics to report back to the small group. Future plans would include having each small group prepare and share what they had learned with the whole class. Let's look at how Barbara got this class started on the 2-week project.
Now, what we're going to do, and we talked about this yesterday, and Kathy and Nancy, you weren't here. You know we've done group projects before. We did one on Civil War. We did one on World War I. I thought maybe we'd try something a little different and work in the geography area. So each group is going to have a continent. Now, you remember in World War I when we had trouble finding enough stuff? We couldn't, you're going to have a totally different problem this time. Because each continent, we could spend 3 years studying each one of these. So you're going to have 2 tons of stuff. So what's your biggest problem you may have this time is deciding, well, which things do I want to talk about? All right, group 1 is Melody, Lisa, Regina, Joyce, and Penny. So you 2 can just basically turn around, and some of you are already there. That's at that table back there. Group 2, which is right here, Priscilla, Jean, Kathy, and Nancy. That's this group. And group 3 up here is Tammy, Catherine, Roxanne, Stella, and Wendy, who's not here. I want you to come up with 2 questions per group, more if you can, but 2 at least, of things that you think you would like to either learn or learn about from the other group about a different continent than our own. Okay? Just 2 questions. They can be real, real simple, or they can be real complex. You got 2? You got more than 2?
I got 2 both. I missed the thing. I want to know everything about it.
Well,
Don't give us something on boom, are you?
I'm just going to give you a continent.
How you going to give it to us?
All I'm going to do is tell you the name, and you're on your own.
Are you going to say, how you going to decide who gets what?
I tried to get everybody either their first or their second choice. All right, I had 5 up there, and there are 3 groups. So when I give you your continent, if you're really, really upset, you can switch for one of the 2 that aren't taken. Okay? Back up here, you've got another one?
Criminal punishment.
Well, that goes with that. Have you got something else that's...
Language. Entertainment.
Okay.
The government.
You can see that we're getting lots of stuff here.
What about the healthcare jobs? I mean, what are their jobs about?
Yeah, good.
Healthcare.
Anything else?
That's just about climate.
It's a lot, yeah? Yeah, because a lot of these places have climates that are really different than ours. Who are you all? South America? All right, here are, right there is where we are. So here's South America.
Is that Mexico?
Mexico is part of North America. South America, you're talking about Brazil and Peru and Colombia and Uruguay and Argentina. That kind of. You all are Africa, right here. Now, you may have to narrow down. Africa is lots of different countries. I don't know if you can do the whole continent. You may want to narrow down to a section or even a country. You decide, okay? It's up to you. All right, I want you to take a couple of minutes and just talk to each other about what things do we want to concentrate for our continent, okay? Yeah, go on.
You know, it says clothes. Real has an outfit from Brazil that the kids wear.
Really? Oh, that would be neat. Yeah.
You know, social service okay at covering with the outfit.
Oh, Lord, yes. That would. Wouldn't that be neat? Her little girl has a Brazilian.
Wore a certain climate in Brazil, and
She has an outfit, and she could bring her in dressed in a. Oh, yeah, I'd love that. And I know you would. Does she?
Yeah, man.
Well, we wouldn't scare her to death or something, would we?
Cooperative learning provides opportunities to increase academic achievement, develop higher reasoning strategies, and enhance critical thinking skills. Socially, cooperative learning fosters greater acceptance of the diversity of team members, improves students' self-esteem, and promotes the willingness of students to encourage and assist one another. Greater motivation to learn and share is another significant result of using cooperative learning. In addition, there is usually a heightened interest in the subject being studied and better potential to develop lifelong interest in the ideas learned.